I've just arrived at Peterborough for our day's racing. Pits are beginning to fill up. I'm a bit early. I was here pretty much on time. Philip's just a little way off, and just turn around so you can see the track behind me. The track is looking really well prepared, so they've done us a good job again. This is a completely different shaped track than the one we were on a couple of weeks ago, in that it's got slightly shorter straights but much longer, wider sweeping corners. So they're going to be fun to go round because it's going to be a different style of racing, and it's going to be pretty much flat out all the way, which is what we like. Since last week we've had to, or Philip has had to rebuild the engine, because the reason we couldn't get it started in our last race, which was semi-final, was the engine was flooding with fuel, and when we went to start it, it actually bent a connecting rod to the piston and damaged the piston as well. So that's all been replaced and rebuilt, which means he hasn't had time to do anything apart from extend the gear change lever for the gear change. We were hoping to be able to get a hand gear change in place for this weekend, but that's going to have to wait now. But as I say, pits are beginning to fill up. This is the sidecars, and the solos and the smaller bikes are over behind me on that side of things. So it's going to be a damp day, or damp couple of days. Look, according to the weather forecast, it's going to be 97% chance of rain, varying from heavy rain to mild rain. So it's going to be fairly wet, particularly today, drying up a little bit tomorrow. But then that keeps the dust down. And as long as it doesn't rain too hard and waterlog the track, we'll be fine. There's not an awful lot to see in the pits at the moment, because as it's raining, people are putting awnings up and keeping bikes and equipment as dry as possible. So it's going to be a bit difficult to show things at the moment, but it'll probably open up later on. For us, one of our main competitors just turning up and setting up here, Rob Wilson. We beat him off the line 2 or 3 times last weekend before last, and then he, using his skill and knowledge and the expertise that he's learned over the last 40 odd years of racing, he came by us on 2nd or 3rd lap. We hope to be able to get the advantage on him this week, so that we don't give him the chance to get by, but we'll see. It will play out throughout the day. Philip just arriving, so he's just parking the van up. We'll be getting the bike out very soon, and then my work starts with putting the new logo and everything on. Not much time to do the walk round for the paddock today, because I've been putting the new branding on the bike. We've been sponsored by Carrick Farm, who are near Carrick Castle in Loch Goyle Head. I've been working on that, which has taken quite a while just to get the vinyl on there. It's quite challenging with something like that, especially when you've got to take the old stuff off and get it to stick, and the day's not particularly warm and it's a bit damp as well, so the water that you put on underneath it when you first put it on is not drying as quickly as I want it to, so it's taking a little while for the adhesive to actually apply. But they're on there now, and we're getting ready for racing. So warmed the engine up, just a few little things, put a bit more water into it. We start in about 10 minutes time, and basically the format of the racing is that every class that goes out will do 2 laps of practice and then go out for their first race. Normally with grass track events, it is that you have a session of practice and then you have a break and then it goes into racing. Here it's just going to be flat out all the way, but even then we're not out until race 12, which is the first one of the sidecars. There are other classes going out beforehand, so it looks like it's going to be another exciting weekend. At the moment the weather's holding off, but the forecast isn't good for all of the rest of the day. But all we can do is hope that it stays clear for us for the rest of the day, and then we'll be okay. But it's going to be fun, and it's going to be hectic and typical racing, so we're looking forward to it. There are some different people here this time. the card is about the same, 11 to 12 people here, or sidecars here. Some of the same people that were here before, and then there's some new people. So Mark Cosser's here, Matt Fumarola. So Mark Cosser and Gareth Williams, Matt Fumarola and Andy Williams, and there's a couple of others here that weren't here with the last on the last series. So some of them might just be here for today, just to get a ride, and possibly some tomorrow that weren't here today. We're here for the whole series, so we're hoping to do well, and it looks like it's been a fun time. It's taken a little while, but I've now got the new livery on the sidecar with Carrick Farm being advertised on there. They're our new sponsors. Carrick Farm are up off Loch Goyle, near Loch Goyle Head, and they do holiday lets on their property. They've also got kayak hire, and something I didn't know about that sounds really fun is laser clay shooting. So basically you have a decommissioned shotgun and you shoot clays, but the fun thing is that more than one person can shoot a clay at the same time because you can reuse the clays. So it's a sustainable way of doing clay pigeon shooting. So it sounds like an awful lot of fun, nearly as much fun as riding this motorbike. But we've got it all on there and it's looking really good. And this is, so it's Carrick Farm are the sponsors. You can find them on www.carrickfarm.com and they will take bookings straight off their website. So far we've had a reasonable day's racing until we had our last race, and then we blew a tyre. So we had a second, a third, and we were lying third, a good third, and then the tyre blew literally on the last corner, so we didn't finish. That said, we are going out for our next races very shortly. We've just had a huge downpour which has really soaked the track, so they've called the meeting a bit short. So after 3 heats we're going into the semi-finals, and we've managed to get into that. We've just started the engine on the bike and you can hear it running in the background, and we are just waiting to go out for our next race in about we've done 3 heats, we're missing the 4th heat and we're going straight into the semi-finals, which is a result, and then if we're successful in that we will be going out for the final. We rode the semi-final. The track was very, very slippery and almost unrideable, but we went out anyway. We decided before we went out that we'd try and make the start, and then if we didn't we'd probably get filled in anyway, which happened because we got the last pick of the gate and we did get just filled in. So we just rode round, did the 4 laps, learned how the bike handled in the wet because we've not ridden it in the wet, but we didn't race it. So we decided that prudence was the better part of our decision, so that we could come back and race tomorrow rather than go flat out and try and do something and get hurt. So we've had a pretty good day here, enjoyed it, and so of course we didn't make the final, but we will be watching the final in a minute. This is the bikes going out for the Sidecar Final. Ironically, because the quads and the sidecars in the semi-finals have been out there, they've cleared the track a little bit, so there is now a racing line. When we went out for our semi-final there wasn't much of a racing line at all. This is going to be a tough race. There is only one racing line really, not much room for overtaking, and there's some very heavy dirt out there. So we've got Rob Wilson, Terry Saunders, Nick Stace, Mark Cosser, Gareth Williams and Paul Whiteland and Richard Hall. I'm afraid I can't remember the name of Nick Stace. little bit of dirt that you saw thrown at us, that's what we get when we're out there, but about 50 times as much. We're going to move back a bit. And there really is only one racing line, as you can see. They're all hanging on to that dryish bit and trying to stay on it. Normally Mark would ride a much wider line. And then we got some more dirt coming up. Unfortunately, Paul's pulling out and just cruising across the line for a place, and it looks like Nick Stace did as well. So, in the conditions, actually a good safe race. But just imagine what it would have been like it had been dry.